many things. It is helping you in registration of the students. It is helping you in authentication of the student. Somebody may not be your student, but he is trying to come into your class. So physically you are not allowing it. In this also, there is a provision that you authenticate the student whenever he joins. Now, for a small kind of class, suppose you are taking a class of 30 people, it is okay. But now, when you imagine of an atmosphere or a scenario where there is an international, you are taking a class which is of an international scenario where you have students from across the world, then you don't know who is actually the student and how he is entering into your domain of class. So in that class, you need some authentication system which is being provided by this LMS. This LMS can also be used for professional trainings in corporate. You want to take exam, you want to take quiz, whatever you are doing in a class, you want to prepare marks, you want to give them reports, report cards, or you want students to collaborate and form some kind of group or a forum or a discussion forum, or with all those things which actually you want in your class is being done virtually through this learning management system. Now you have different type of these LMSs. Here is a list of open source. Open source here means that you need not to pay anything when you download these softwares and you start using for your classes or your content management. You don't need to pay. But there are other which are commercial softwares where you need to pay. You need to buy these softwares, and these are the enterprise softwares. If we talk about this learning management system, then sometimes you are not only using laptop.
Are you able to hear me properly in this video or not?
Yes, sir, it's audible, sir.
Is it audible?
Yes, sir.
I should
Yes,
make
sir,
it,
audible.
I should make it more louder.
Yes, sir, you can little bit louder from your side,
Okay,
sir.
then you have to just wait
अच्छा
for,
holidays homework मिल गया होगा ना?
then wait for 15 seconds. I'll make it more louder.
Sure, sir.
Doing in a class, you want to prepare marks, you want to give them reports.
Is it better now?
Or
Yes, sir, better.
students to collaborate and form some kind of group or a forum or a discussion forum, or with all those things which actually you want in your class is being done virtually through this learning management system. Now you have different type of these LMSs. Here is a list of open source. Open source here means that you need not to pay anything when you download these softwares and you start using for your classes or your content management. You don't need to pay. But there are other which are commercial softwares where you need to pay. You need to buy these softwares, and these are the enterprise softwares. If we talk about this learning management system, then sometimes you are not only using laptops, desktops, but you are using your mobile phones also. So let me share with you that many of these LMS, they give all facilities on your mobile phone also. But we need to understand that LMS on a mobile has a limitation of a screen size, which is inevitable. You need to work with that. You need to understand that limitation whenever you are dealing with your students. Now, this gives you a comparison of top 11 free and open sources of LMS, and they talk about the different services or different facilities which they provide. We'll be talking about some of the services here. Now, when we do a real-time class, means a physical class in which you are present, that kind of learning is known as synchronous learning. Now, this learning becomes synchronous when you need to take your class on Google Meet, or you take on Zoom, or I mean to say the real-time interaction between student and teacher make it a synchronous learning. But LMS says that it can provide asynchronous learning also, and it is not possible for a teacher to be present for students every time really, and especially when you have a variety of students, you have different level of students. We are not talking only about a school level or a college level, but we are talking in a whole where you have different segments of learners, starting from school students to professionals to working professionals, executives. So asynchronous learning means that where there are standard videos which have been recorded, there have been standard content, files, photos, or various other learning contents which have already been put on the software, and whenever the student has a time, because if we talk about working professionals or even normal students also, sometimes there is an issue of internet speed, sometimes there is an issue of connectivity, or they have limitations of time, and sometimes the environment does not allow. So in that case, we say that asynchronous learning is also very important, because in asynchronous learning, they can read anytime, they can retrieve, they can see the content which is already available there anytime, and they can go through the videos, they can go through the content. So synchronous is also important, asynchronous is also important. Now we say that no, we want a blended learning, that we want a classroom and an online. We need a combination of such kind of learning in which whenever you are in a class, whenever you are in a real-time teaching, you want few files to be retrieved immediately and to be shown to the students. Now that is known as a blended kind of learning. Now this blended learning, you can see here in the slide that it is also possible in various softwares, LMS, Moodle, Talent LMS, Formal LMS, and various other softwares. And like that, there is another feature which is known as SCORM. Now this SCORM is actually when you type something in a search, and every student, every learner, they try to retrieve the information in different ways through different keywords. Now this SCORM actually makes them possible to retrieve the content of their requirement, what they need immediately to available to them. So this feature is also available in many of the LMS. E-commerce here says that suppose some of the content, or like we have EDX, we have Coursera. So these are some of the standard international LMS based learning portals which provide which are the combination or a platform from many international universities across the world. So they have come up together and they have put their material. So, but many of the courses are paid. Now, if the payment system is added, then also few of the LMSs, they support the e-commerce also. the question arises that we have been focusing only on the content. But is that the only purpose of LMS? While remote teaching, you need to understand the model of the information system. From the learner's point of view, a learner actually looks to the net benefits, what he is getting by learning from any portal. It can be paid, it can be free, but these LMSs, they give different features, and all those features can be evaluated in quality terms into three parts. First is, what is the information quality available on these learning portals? Now, this information quality is solely depends on the content writers, the teachers, or those who have developed this material and put on the LMS or these portals. It depends upon the quality of videos also. Now, we will be talking about this information quality in detail when we will be talking about the soft skills required by the teachers who are teaching through these LMS. We will be talking in detail. Except this, the two other important aspects are system quality and service quality. System quality in the sense that the software has many features, the system performance, that if somebody wants to retrieve any information, how fast this information is being retrieved, or what type of, how easy it is to operate for a common user. And except that, what type of service is being provided by this portal. Means, when we talk about this service, whether the user is able, somebody is suppose is a working professional, and he wants some content of a very higher level degree, or of such a level which can enhance his skills while doing his job. Now, in that case, we would say that it has been categorized into the service quality. Even if we say that the information delivered through that video or through that content is part of information quality, but we would say that the longevity, or you can say how better it is able to explain the content to the user, talks about it, service quality. How fast he has been able to download, talks about the system quality, or various other things. Now, all these things in combination will lead to user satisfaction, or we tell that whether his intention of using has been satisfied, it has been fulfilled or not, and it will further lead to the net benefits. So, while choosing the LMS or while doing these classes, you must, in the back end, you need to understand or keep in mind that, okay, the user is concerned about these three quality parameters. Now, we have done a small research and compared the international portal EDX with NPTEL on these three parameters. So you can see their results here. Then we have compared Coursera and EDX itself. So we have found different dimensions or different on which we can compare these learning portals. So you can see to this, except these, the user, whenever he is using any technological model, and I'm saying that either you are using mobile or desktop or any gadget, electronic gadget, that's why it is called e-learning. So he is means the perceived usefulness or benefits depends upon that how much he finds that content relevant to his job, relevant to his studies, and it depends upon that how easy it is to use that portal, how much it is relevant to the content which actually he was looking for, or whatever expectation he was having in his mind. So depending upon all these things, he says that okay, this portal is good, this class is good, that class is bad, or this portal is bad. Like that, he distinguishes between various portals. Now, all these contents, if we combine them, we call them as massive open online courses, what we call as MOOC. So to be a good MOOC teacher, you need to have a strong soft skills. So when we talk about the soft skills, we need to say that okay, what a good lecture in the user's mind, how does means what kind of picture he has in his mind when he talks about a good lecture. So you can see that he talks about that okay, the lecture was live, it was educative, creative, it was thought-provoking. Means what is the actual output he is getting from that? But when we are talking about these outputs, we need to understand that okay, when we are recording these lectures, and let me tell you that when you are watching this video or this program, do not misunderstand this webinar as a professional video. No, please don't. Because the content of the professional videos which are being recorded and put on these LMS are being recorded in professional videos or professional recording rooms where you don't have any noise disturbance, or where
Sir, it is not audible.
the difference lies between what? The difference lies between what I call it as a difference between the system quality and a service quality. When we say that you are recording at home and you are delivering it to the student, the service quality may not be so good. Although you are the same teacher, the information quality may be same, but yes, the speech, the volume, or the pitch, or the clarity defines the information quality, which may differ when it is being recorded at home and when it is recorded in a professional studio. But few things are very, very common, and I would say these things are that how well a teacher manages his time, his lecture, what are the manners there, how well he is dressed, what is his speech or what he has written as a content, whether he is using a proper body language or not, what type of test he has made for the students. Or you can also say that it is almost the same set of skills which is required when you are actually present in the class. And a group of people, maybe students or executives in a training program, they are looking at you as a role model in a class, and they have a lot of expectations from you as a speaker. So while recording also, they have all these expectations from you, and which I say that it is how it defines the quality in the classroom. Is talk about managing resources, knowing the subject, managing the lesson, understanding the learners. Then maybe you may have in a group with a group of people which understand different types of languages, or their accent may be different. So that also matter. So this chart actually shows that all these dimensions leads to first making them aware about the content, about the subject, then they try to understand. Once the understanding is done, then they try to engage. The teacher tries to engage, even it is really or virtually. So when we talk about this engagement, one point comes is one feature is gamification. Whether you are engaging your students through games, and yes, this feature is also available on various learning management systems. And once this engagement is done, then you try to integrate your understanding, your delivery with the understanding of the students. And like this makes the quality, a good quality of the whole class. And yes, I would say that you need to, if you are doing only video conferencing, or you are, I would to say that you are meeting a student only on Google Meet, then I would suggest that please don't lecture on Google Meet or that video conferencing. It is just a feature. You need to make professional videos and put it on the LMS. So whenever the student needs, he can go through those lectures. He can watch them properly according to their environment. And when you do an online interaction, at that time, just try, it should be an interaction with you, try to understand their problems, their issues. So it should be more like a problem solving session rather than just a lecture. Because I told you that environment is a big constraint when you interact online. So for remote classroom, yes, you need a lot of online resources, you need a lot of assignments which has to be given, you need a feedback system, you need an examination system. So for a good remote teaching, you need various kind of softwares, and these video conferencing is just one feature for that. If I say that while recording, you need a lot of soft skills. What are those soft skills? These are the communication skills. How creative you are in designing your PPTs. What type of interpersonal skills through which you can engage your students. You are not physically present, but you want that you understand that there are different levels of learning and standard mindset of different students or group of people. And you, through one lecture, you are trying to give an understanding, whole understanding, a whole concept to the whole group. But through your interpersonal skills, you may try to reach to the most weak student, and also you may like to feed to an intelligent student also. And with this, you need to have a lot of professional skills. If the class is of mathematics, the classes of computer science or yoga or various other things. These are some of the communication skills which you use in your remote teaching, your remote training, interviewing. Again, if it is an interview, a remote interview you are taking, so you need to understand that how to take an interview through this LMS or through the software. Verbal communication, listening, yes, is again an art. If you are not a good listener, teacher is not a good listener, he cannot be a good speaker. You need to understand what your students are saying when you are live with them. And based on their feedback, now you are going to change the content which you have developed. It's a ongoing process. When you redevelop your content, and again put it on the LMS based on the feedback. And definitely these are some of the conflict resolution skills, or you can say when there is a group, and yes, virtually also there may be when you are online there may be few conflicts, and definitely you need to solve that. Networking here, I mean to say, is like when the assignments are coming, then you are giving a feedback to them on different assignments. You are sending emails, you are doing messages. So a lot of pre and post work is being done, except the online interaction. So pre and post through emails and other media or other things, what you are doing before and after the class also becomes a part of your networking. When the creativity is concerned, definitely the contents which are very, very creative, which make or which attract students to pay attention, is definitely going to give an edge to a student. Yes, and the content should definitely leads to some kind of innovation among the group. And if you are not able to do it virtually, and because it is required when you are doing your classes on interaction physically, but that innovation has to be brought into the content. By any means, when we are talking about remote teaching, without that, the remote teaching becomes senseless or the baseless. So these, yes, we have been talking about, and yes, one, taking criticism is a very, very important aspect, because most of the international universities on portals now or in this LMS, we get a lot of feedback in which the students give. They may say that your class was not actually good, or the content has so much of deficiencies. So I say that from the student perspective, sometimes it may not be so healthy criticism, but you have to take it. You have to accept that criticism in a very healthy manner and re-innovate, rewrite your content and develop it. As far as visual skills are concerned, I will show you an example that here you can see the two parts of this presentation, in which the font size matters a lot, the shades matter a lot, the color combination matters a lot whenever you make a presentation. So good or poor visuals also decides what you make and what you deliver, and what exactly is the feedback of students or a group to your teaching. So now I will stop here, and this video will be also delivered to you. You can see it whenever it is required, and very soon we'll be covering, or we'll be doing a 1 week program in which we will be.
Yeah. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now I think the content part is over, where we talked about the LMS, we talked about the soft skills, we discussed about what precautions we have to take when we talk about online teaching, especially when we have international students from across the world. So now it's time to answer a few questions. Shall I see the chat box, or will you allow them to interact with me directly by opening the video?
Sir, first
So
we
they
can
can
take
raise-
some poll.
Yes, we
Okay.
can have the poll. We can have the first poll. So just spare us few seconds. We can have the results.
Okay, so
Divyanshu, please show the results.
so many of I think 45% of the students, they have shown that it's a biology teacher who shows a cell diagram from a document stored in the Moodle to his students, while online interaction is synchronous learning. And the option was synchronous, asynchronous, blended, and gamification. That is true. Let me knock down which is not correct. Gamification, it is not there. But how is it synchronous? I don't know, because I told you in my presentation that synchronous means when you are live, when you are directly interacting with the students, maybe through this video feature of any of the LMS. And asynchronous, I said that when you record a lecture or you send a file or you send some story to them, so it becomes asynchronous. But here, what this biology teacher is doing, that she is interacting, and in between she fetches a file which is stored on the LMS and tries to show that file there and then when she is doing a lecture. So it becomes a blended learning. So its correct answer is blended learning. Is it okay to everyone?
Yes, sir.
So can we go for second poll?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Divyanshu, kindly launch the result.
Okay, so this time I think the maximum people, 54% said that it's a creative skill, and 26% said that it's a communication skill. I think this time most of the people are right, and it is actually a creative skill. Although it is a part of the communication, but to have the exact font size in a PPT, it looks to be a very, very minor issue. But if you look from the student perspective, especially when you are going for e-teaching or when you are going for e-learning, it becomes very, very sensitive and very, very important aspect of e-learning. So it is definitely to be a part of a creative skill. So I think my point, which I told in the last of my presentation, it appealed to most of the people, and it clicked it to all of them, and they got it right. So, do we have more poll questions, or should we go for the
Yes, sir,
live
one more.
discussion now?
Yes, sir, one more we have.
Okay.
Dinesh, kindly have the third one.
Okay. So, I think the learners here in this group, this is a wonderful group, and I think they got maximum what I told them, and they are very right that for a good remote teaching, we need a computer or a laptop, or means computer in the form of either it can be even smartphone or a desktop or a laptop, and software and internet. All the above are required for our remote teaching. And when we just interact through a video conferencing, it it's not actual remote teaching. You need a proper software where you can give assignments to the students, where you can ask them to or you want to schedule your class in the night, when you cannot be present online every time in remote teaching. Now for that you need certain software, and I told you that those softwares which help you to do the classes in an effective manner, like how you have been doing in your colleges or in your universities, you need a proper software, and that software we call it as a LMS. And I have already shown you the list of LMS which can be used for remote teaching. So this is wonderful. I think out of 3 questions, poll questions, 2 were almost caught correctly by all the learners. So congratulations to all of you, those who got correct answers. So shall we go for now what next live interaction or what?
So we
So
can have the
question,
question.
Sorry.
sir, we
have
can
the
have the
question.
question answer round.
Okay, so I can see the questions in the chat box. Let me see. Or do you allow students to let me see if I have a question in the chat
Raise their,
box.
so they can directly raise their
Partic
hand. We'll unmute them and they can directly ask the question.
That's wonderful. That we can do.
Dear participants, if you people have any queries that you would like to ask our resource person, kindly find an icon towards the bottom of the screen, raise the hand option. You can click on it. we have Ankita.
Ankita
Professor.
Chitkara.
Yes.
Divyanshu, kindly unmute Ankita Chitkara, ma'am.
Yes, I have done. Ankita, Professor Ankita, ma'am, kindly you can unmute yourself.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Sir, very good afternoon, and a very good afternoon to all the delegates and all the audience. Sir, if you could please again,
Your voice is breaking actually. Ankita, your voice is
Hello?
breaking.
Network issue.
It's
Yes,
not
ma'am.
audible.
Yeah.
Audible now?
Ma'am, you can leave a
Hello?
chat, leave a message in
Ma'am,
the
you
chat
can
box.
write. Ma'am, you can write your question in the chat box.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Manisha, ma'am, we have enabled the setting. You can unmute yourself now. Manisha, ma'am, stage is all yours.
Yes. Yes. I mean, good afternoon. This is nearly afternoon. Good afternoon, Professor. I would simply like to ask you one particular point. Like in comparison to face-to-face and direct communication. Now, online communication, the feeling part or the connectivity towards your student, or that kind of a psyche which develops when a teacher and a taught are in direct contact with each other, that is absolutely missing. And to fill up the gap, we do a number of sessions like quizzes, assignments, etc., etc., etc. I feel, or you may comment better, that the child as well as the teacher is overburdened all the time. From the teacher's point of view, you have to keep preparing accordingly, and that kind of a psychological connection which a teacher and a taught has, and often by just viewing the expression, the body language, the psyche, you really perceive that whether the child is getting your concept or not. And online learning, what I have personally as a teacher come to observe, that most of the children, leaving apart a few in the class, they only copy paste the assignment. And in that regard, I would like to, of course, since it is a time which nobody ever perceived and nobody ever thought of. So in these adverse situations, it is okay to have such kind of a teaching mode. But on an average, as a human, won't live sessions have their better advantages over the online sessions? See, for emergencies, for the lots who cannot visit the class, it's okay. But I mean, this is what I feel, and I'd like to have your comments on my view.
Okay, I think this is a wonderful question and a very valid question. And let me share with you that during one of the interaction with Harvard Business School publishing seminar in the near past, we have discussed this issue, and we concluded that there are three segments of learners now. You have been talking about the first segment, and I totally agree with you. Saying that if you see the age group up to 22, the people are full of energy. They are more young into this lively world. They want to interact with people. They want to talk. They want to share. They want someone to physically interact with. And for that, I think this segment, what you have been talking, and I would also recommend that proper classroom or contact classes, or what we say as the conventional teaching, is considered to be the best teaching for this segment of learners or students, because they are full of energy. They cannot live without people, and they want everything live, face to face, and they want to share things lively. So for these, so the school children and up to a college level, I would say that this conventional teaching is very good. But if we see the second segment is of the learners who are working executives, and they cannot spare time for this every time live sessions or physical contact, or they are not interested into to come into the class the whole week. So I think if they are learning online, or they are learning through distance, or they are getting some material and do self learning, and then for their question and answers, and for some of their doubts, for some of the briefing from a professor, if they are on the weekends they are interacting with the professor, I think that is wonderful for that, because they can't lose their job. They have to run their family also, they want to make their career also. So the career oriented people, and I would say the people above 30 to 40 years, or that I think the working executive, in which you have a lot of energy and you want to grow in your career, but you are a good learner, you want to learn also. So that is the second segment. So in that, I would say it is first, for first segment, it was synchronous learning, live, physical contact. For second one, I would say it is a blended one. And the third segment, it may be the senior professors, it may be the teachers who have, or it may be the executives who have been working for last many years as executives, but now they want to go to the managerial position, or they want to upgrade their learning, their knowledge. So for them, this lively class is not required. They want a pure learning. They know a lot. They need a formal degree by this learning, or they need only pure learning. So for that segment, I would say they need not to come to university or a class anytime. They can be in the virtual world, they can interact with the people, or learning is not always that it is in a course form. It can be on various forms. Let me share with you an example of HCL. Let me share with you an example of other IT companies who are having offices in 125 countries, and they need to train their executives, the new executives or the new trainees in different countries at one time, and they need to increase their productive time. So for those that particular segment, you can always go for online learning or remote teaching, you can say. So for three segments, we need three different type of strategies. So from your point of view, I agree that the first segment, yes, like this physical classes or conventional teaching is very, very important. Have I answered your question?
Yes, sir. Now we have Professor Ankita ma'am. There were some network issues. We were unable to hear her properly. She has left her question in the chat box. So I'll just read it out. She says, sir, if you could please explain SCORM compliance, SCORM.
Okay. We talked about SCORM compliance, and I told you that when people in the learning management system from different dimension or different parts of the world, they are trying to retrieve different type of information from this LMS. And if you say that if you are a lone teacher and you don't have a software support, or you don't have a system support, you can't handle so many students with so many different types of requirement at different time zones. So this is only possible through this facility of LMS, which helps you to give them different types of information at different time zones and independently. Next question.
You can raise the hand for queries. In the meanwhile, I'll read out the questions in the chat box.
What could be the?
We have Professor Muhammad. Yes, sir.
I think from Dr. Deepal. She asked that what could be option for examination and evaluation when the students are only copying and pasting. Okay, this is again a wonderful question, and I would say that we need to, if they have heard about the flip teaching, or if they have heard about the open book teaching or open book learning system, in which you allow them to copy, you allow them to paste, but really it is not possible to answer that particular question which is being articulated for this particular system. Let me share with you there are two types of questions. There are many types of question, but I'll give example only of two. One is an assignment question, and one is a discussion question. In an assignment question, you ask about where, what, means what is exactly given in the text. So when you ask such type of questions, which can be answered like where the Taj Mahal is situated. Now, if any text anybody can see, even if he doesn't know, he can go to the Google, he can check and he can answer. But if I ask a question from somebody who is from an architecture background or somebody who is from some technical background, that what special architecture is of Taj Mahal and how it has been erected. Now, whenever you put a how into a question, it is not possible for a person to copy and paste. So a lot of articulation has to be done in question when we talk about online teaching. Your questions should not be direct, rather they should be indirect questions, and indirect questions in which the student should not write the theory, but rather they should go and read the theory, understand it, learn it, and then they should put them into their own words, apply them into a situation to solve an issue and resolve that issue. Or it can be said that it can be an applied question. Like if I say that you what do you understand by a teamwork, or what do you understand by a team, then it becomes a very, very straightforward question. Anybody can copy and paste. But if I ask that, okay, suppose you are going to Himalayas and you have to select only 4 students out of your class to go or to be with in your team, whom will you select and why? Now, this is a question which is actually based on a teamwork, but it cannot be answered directly by a student by copy or pasting, because now he has to remember who are in their class, what are their qualities, what exactly the teamwork means, and how teamwork can be applied or team building can be used to climb Himalayas. So these type, the questions, remodulation or redesign of questions is very, very essential in online teaching.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Next question is of Rajiv Nadeem A. Khan. He's asking about the Scrum. I think he can always, very, very direct question. So I think he can follow the Google and he can look into the Scrum. It's a standard actually for search. So I'll not answer that question because it's a direct question. Rajiv Chandra Sharma, do you think that online research is a management, commerce and other social sciences leading to PhD? Do you think online research in management, commerce and other social sciences leading to PhD and or MPhil should be allowed in India by UGC, AICT, MHRD? since you are asking me, so I would say that yes, learning. If you are doing research, then we are already using a lot of online research. We have been using a lot of databases. Rather, I would say that if you are doing any research in finance and commerce, please don't go for primary data. You have to go for secondary data. You can go for Capitaline database. You can go for moneycontrol.com, or you can go for other published data if you are doing research in finance. So that searching of a data, financial data from a through a primary source is really very, very difficult. So we are already doing that. And if UGC, AICT, MHRD, it is on their discretion that what they do with this online research. Next is in online communication. Mukhtar Ahmad, he asks, in online communication, it's hard to communicate with participant adjustment to you, who helps you and assists you in problem faced during session due to low computer knowledge or less practice practically. Right, it's very true that although I believe that not much of a computer skills are required when we are talking about online teaching, because like we are using Zoom or we are using LMS. But let me be clear with you that yes, teacher has to be more smarter and more computer savvy than the students, because he has to use LMS. And in LMS, there are various kinds of features where, although it is only you have to just pull down and upload, that's all. So it is just a content management, nothing else. Rest, the LMS is actually a software. So if you are able to use Windows, then you are able to use LMS also. I don't think there is any issue in that. But from the student perspective, I don't think it is so difficult. Everybody can upload. I have been using not purely LMS, but I would say that since 2002, I started using Yahoo Groups. And with my first assignment with the Australian University, at that time in 2002, almost you can say 17, 18 years back, 20 years back. So I don't think that it is a big issue now, because most of the children, they are able to use smartphone. If somebody is able to use smartphone, then smartphone are more smarter than laptops. Next question is Mukhtar Ahmad again. How to resolve self-motivation adaptability struggle during online teaching? I think this for this self-motivation, I would say that it won't happen if you are talking from the student's perspective. If you are asking from the teacher's perspective, once your video is viral, once your video is on YouTube, and some of your students start sending you message, sir, we saw you on YouTube and we liked your video, your self-motivation will automatically occur. But as far as the motivation of the students are concerned, I told you that pre-interaction and post-interaction of your online session is very, very important. It means that you need to give some pre-assignment before your live session, and after the live session, you again have to recheck those assignments, evaluate them and post it to them, and understand what exactly problems they are facing and address those issues. If you leave only to this online session, it will not be considered to be very, very effective. So next question is, how is possible to conduct tests for experimental subjects through online teaching? There are various softwares. Let me tell you, for experimental subjects, there are various softwares now, and they actually allow you to do chemistry, physics, mathematics, and various other experimental kinds of subjects to be taught through software. You can use those softwares also. Then how can disparities of e-learning be fixed? Like many of students are from remote places. Internet connectivity is a problem. Yes, connectivity is a problem. That is a national issue. I think you and me won't be able to solve it. But yes, it is very true that like mask is now compulsion to all of us due to COVID-19. So I think internet again is the previously we used to say that roti kapda or makan, and now we used to say roti kapda and internet. So I think this is now one of the essential requirements, and most of us are now trying to get by any means. We have another question. Sir, your answer taking online exemption by putting indirect question is an extremely useful one. Okay, wonderful. Use with time and other essential. So I have a question, which how can I adapt online teaching, and which is the best app according to Sir for it? Now, Mohammed, you asked about how can I adapt online teaching. I think you can start with like the Zoom or the Google Teaching. Google Classroom is a very, very easy kind of software. So you can install and start Google Classroom Teaching. It is again an LMS, a simple LMS, and with less facilities. So you can start with that as a layman. You need not to have a lot of computer knowledge to use that. So next is I don't find any questions now. I think most of you are giving thanks and highly informative sessions. And let me share one thing with you, that when I was you were seeing my PPTs and you were seeing my video also. At that time, I was not actually live at that time. I have recorded that video, and it is the OBS software. You can use this software it is an open software, OBS software, in which your PPT and your photo can be recorded as a video, and you can immediately put it on the YouTube, or you can send it to your students also. Then again, Debaratri Dev, taking online exemption by putting indirect question is regards to yes,
Sir,
exam. As somebody asked about last question, somebody asked about conducting examination online. So we have a very useful software, exam.net. Exam.net is a Sweden software. So in Sweden, it is paid software, but after outside Sweden, in the whole world, it is free of cost. So presently, it is again free of cost. I think up to when this COVID continues up to next 1 or 2 months. So you can use that exam.net to do examination of your students. It's a very sophisticated kind of software. If somebody tries to even open another window while giving the examination, it will stop that examinee, or it will stop that student to restrict that student to do his further paper. So it has a lot of artificial intelligence inbuilt in it, and a lot of precautions can be taken. So I think exam.net you can use for online examination. Various other softwares, paid software, are also available. So you can go through that softwares also. On Google Classroom also, you can interact, you can take an exam also. So I think the rest of the speakers who will come in the forthcoming days, they may be interacting with you, and they may tell you how to use, how to conduct examination on Google Classroom. And if they don't tell, then please let me know. Shivangi can tell me, and I can come again and teach you how to take examination, online examination through Google Classroom.
sir, I
Over to
want to
Priyanka.
ask one question. Sir, I
Yeah.
want to ask one question.
Hmm.
Sir, this paradigm shift from from conventional to where we have partial technical and partial non-technical education system. Sir, is there any impact on educational sustainability?
Education sustainability related to what?
Sir, related to this paradigm shift towards conventional to where we have partial technical and partial non-technical.
I already
education
told you,
system.
I shared with you that there are 3 segments. It may be possible that at this moment when we are into the lockdown and for the last 3 months, so it is looking a compulsion on us. But let me share with you, we have been doing it for the past 10 years, and it will be getting more and more prominent in the future, because due to overpopulation, especially case of India, very less people will have time to devote to only learning. You see, presently, if you see the Indian culture, the mother and father, they are putting food into the mouth of a boy or a girl till he or she does her PhD. Even after they get married, they don't stop running after their boys and girls. It doesn't happen in foreign countries. Here also the culture is changing very fast, but the reason may be different. The reason may be the overpopulation. Due to this overpopulation and unemployment, more and more people will be opting for online learning, where they can work, where they can learn. They can't, they won't in future, remember my words, in next 10 years, they won't be able to afford a full day of full-time class in their life. Why? Because if they come for a full-time learning, they will strive of hunger. They won't have money to feed up their families. So they may need a system in which they can work and they can learn. So I think it is the future of education, but definitely for a particular segment, it will be more important, and for other segment, it will not be so important. There will be a shift.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Any other question? They are asking to share their lectures. I think Shivangi can do that.
Yes, sir. We'll be sharing all the
Yes, sir.
videos after the last day of the session. After the assessment, final assessment.
Somebody is asking for some extra session online examination, all that. So I think what I'll do is I have we a few days back we did one session, one big session, a full day session on how to conduct examination. I was not the lone resource person, but my other colleagues in my university, they were the resource persons. So what I'll do is I'll send all the videos to their YouTube links to your institution, to Priyanka and Shivangi, and they can distribute to you. So whenever you are free, you can look to those videos and you will automatically learn how to go for online examination and how to use Google Classroom for taking examination.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Over to the organizers now.
Thank you, sir, for such an excellent session. You have told us the abbreviation of lecture, like L stands for lively, educative, creative, thought-provoking, understanding, relevant, enjoyable. And so you have explained the concepts in such a nice way. You have told us the factors of a good lecture, how to improve the quality in the classroom. Thank you, sir. That was an amazing session. Dr. Shivangi, would you like to add few lines?
Definitely, ma'am. Just I want to raise some points. Like, since we are entering in a new phase, sir, and your lecture, your comments are really very timely, and definitely we believe that we can benefit immediately from the method you suggested for innovative e-teaching resources. Thank you so much, sir, for this stimulating session. Thank you.
It was my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Now, I would like to request our director, sir, Professor Dr. Bhavesh Kumar Chauhan, sir, to kindly grace us with few of his words. Sir, the stage is all yours.
Thank you, Professor Priyanka Singh. And I, on behalf of the Institute, Babu Banarsi Das National Institute of Technology and Management, as well as Dr. Akhilesh Das Gupta, Institute of Technology and Management, New Delhi, I thank Professor Dr. Pankaj Madan, sir, for having accepted our invitation at a short notice and delivered talk on LMS and beside other allied issues. And he has shown that he would be supporting the faculty community in time to come also by adding on certain more informative stuff. Sir, I think you are one of the role model, means what the attendees can really look out for, because the way you have adapted yourself over last 2-3 decades, as I was going through your profile is really praiseworthy and inspirational in certain aspects, because you have taken a lead, and I think COVID must have been a very smooth sail through for you. In fact, galvanizing and catalyzing them and helping them to really navigate towards easy transformation, because you have realized that well before time in your early career that online teaching is going to stay along with the conventional teaching. So through your discussion, it was easily and very clearly coming out that these are complementary to each other and they are going to stay. And since you have, you also talked about the three components. Definitely there are three components of the teachers, means depending upon their ages, but there are not fine lines, as you have also hinted. There are mergers of those communities also, because their interests are diverse, their constraints are diverse. So the way you talked about models, the way you talked about different dimension of it, it was really eye opener for communities, and it was definitely one of the most important aspects of online teaching. So I really thank on behalf of the organizing team, and I really congratulate organizing team, particularly Dr. Shivangi and Professor Priyanka Singh and Divyanshu, Ishita, and all other organizers for having requested you for agreeing to deliver this session. I'm sure after this session they are more enriched, and they will look forward to really continue contact with you, and you will keep supporting this faculty, teaching community, and eventually to the students, because it's a service to the students as well as to the nation. So thank you very much, and congratulations to organizers. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Dear participants, I would like to state a few things. After this session, we'll be floating a link for the assignment, the quiz assignment, and you'll be getting 2 days time. You can complete the assignment till tomorrow, late evening till 11:30 p.m. And there are few queries that we are getting from participants, that why are we posting these links on Google Classroom? Like, why not on the WhatsApp group or the Telegram group? So yes, I would also like to state that earlier, like I said in the morning today itself, that earlier we had only 80 seats, but because of the high demand, we had to increase the number of seats. And now we have more than 400 registrations. So for that, we have created another Telegram group, because there won't be any kind of limitation for the number of participants. And Google Classroom, why we are posting links over there? Yes, because that is also a kind of e-teaching method, so that participants get to know how to use Google Classroom. So kindly submit the assignment over there, and the time duration is till tomorrow 11:30 p.m. Thank you, dear participants, for having a patient hearing. Dr. Shivangi, would you like to add something?
No, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, dignitaries. Thank you, Madan sir. Thank you, dear
Thank you
participants.
so much, sir. Really,
Now
we are
over to-
blessed to have you.
Thank you. Ishita, kindly proceed. Ishita, are you there? Divyanshu, kindly see if
Richa
Ishita is
Tandon, ma'am, maybe Richa Tandon, ma'am asked something.
still unmute her. Okay. Divyanshu, kindly unmute Richa Tandon, ma'am. She raised her hand. I guess she has some query. She is joining.
Done now.
Richa Tandon, ma'am, you can unmute yourself now. We have enabled.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Yes.
Good afternoon, Priyanka and everyone. Just I wanted to ask if I have been connected to the Google Classroom, I am submitting the assignment there. Would it be necessary for me to join that Telegram app which you told?
No, ma'am, it is
No,
not
ma'am.
necessary if you join one's WhatsApp group.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay,
Ma'am,
welcome.
thank you so much. Okay. So shall we wind it up, Dr. Shivangi, and with permission of our HODs and director, sir?
Ma'am, Ishita has just unmuted herself.
Okay, so we have Ishita with herself, with ourselves. Ishita, kindly proceed. Ishita Mishra.
Ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible, Ishita.
Yes.
Please go ahead.
Thank you so much, ma'am. First of all, I would like to thank our guest, Dr. Pankaj Madan, sir, because we cannot thank him enough for giving us such a good session. And I cannot help but talk about some of the very important aspects he talked about LMS, like how we need to update our knowledge, and also not just knowledge but also our content which we share with the students, and how we have to become problem solvers and make the learning interactive and interesting for the students. It is very important that we upgrade ourselves in this technology to start using LMS technique and to manage different students at different times and who have different needs. It is very important that we start learning these methods, because times like such we only have these platforms to educate the students, and maybe we have not known till now, but now these technologies and these applications, these methods are very much common and we need to learn them. It's a necessity for us now, and I cannot thank enough, sir, for letting us know and for giving us so much ideas about doing all these things. And I would like to express my heartfelt thanks to our guest, Professor Dr. Pankaj Madan, sir. And I would also like to thank our chief patron, Mrs. Alka Das Gupta ma'am, Chairperson, BBD Group of Education, the patrons, Professor Dr. Bhavesh Kumar Chauhan, sir, Director, BBD NITM Lucknow, Professor Dr. Sanjay Kumar, sir, Director, Dr. ADGITM, New Delhi, the advisory committee, which includes Mr. Vinay Kumar Yadav, sir, Ms. Swati Khanna, ma'am, and Mr. Aseem Zahore, sir, the organizing committee, including Dr. Shivangi Tiwari, ma'am, Ms. Priyanka Singh, ma'am, and co-coordinators of the program, Ms. Pooja Garg, ma'am, and Ms. Twinkle Arora, ma'am. I would also like to thank student coordinators, Mr. Divyanshu Singh, Student President, BBD NITM, Mr. Ayush Agrawal, Student MBA First Year, Mr. Aryan Agraheri, Student MBA First Year, for assisting us throughout the program. The session has been an enriching experience for all the participants, and I thank you all for making it possible. Thank you so much. Over to you,
Thank you. Thank you so much. Another announcement for our participants. Kindly don't forget to complete the assignment, because at the end of the session, like after fifth day, you will be getting certificates only if you qualify the 40% criteria for all the quizzes. If you don't qualify 40%, you'll be getting one certificate of only participation of this in this international FDP. And if you qualify of 40% overall the marks, then you'll get two certificates, one of participation in this international FDP and the other one of successfully completing the FDP. So kindly please don't forget to complete the submission of the quiz and assignments in this stipulated time period. Thank you so much, everyone. Now we can wind it up. Dr. Shivangi, with all your permission, HOD sir, Director sir, with all your permission, we can wind it up.
Sorry to interrupt you, ma'am. Mr.
Yes.
Chandra Pal has raised the hand, ma'am.
Okay. We'll just change the setting so that he can unmute himself. Professor Chandrapal sir, we have enabled the setting. Kindly unmute yourself if you have any query. Professor Chandrapal.
Might be there will be a technical issue, ma'am. So
okay, we'll take up the query in the in WhatsApp group.
yeah,
Fine.
no,
So we
can
it up. Yeah.
okay,
And there were queries that few people were unable to join Google Classroom. So you have to use your own personal mail ID and not your mail ID with the organization domain. Like I have my email ID with the domain as @bbdnitm.ac.in. If I'll try to sign in with this email ID, I won't be able to add myself to that Google Classroom. Kindly use your own personal mail ID, like @gmail.com or @hotmail.com. So this was a query that was raised up by many of the participants. So any queries, we, the organizing team, are always there to help. So have a nice day. Dr. Shivangi? Okay, Divyanshu, we can proceed to wind it up.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Should I?
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Divyanshu.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Have a nice day. Thank you.